Am I the asshole for telling my wife it was a mistake to stay at the baby shower? So my wife, 26 female, and I, 28 male, have been married for a year and began trying to conceive in September. No luck so far, but the doctor did say at our first appointment that it typically takes close to a year for most couples to conceive. She's been telling people that she's infertile, which isn't true. Doctor said she isn't. My wife and I went to my work Christmas party in mid-December, where my wife met my coworker's wife. Let's call her Mary, and they took a liking to each other. Mary was pregnant and invited my wife to her baby shower, which was yesterday, and my wife sounded so excited to go. I asked her when we were alone if she thinks she'll be fine. I know my wife, and I know what typically bothers her. I know she wouldn't bask in happiness over someone else's pregnancy, so I urged her to think it through. She said she's fine, and she was excited, so she went. The baby shower was yesterday. About 40 minutes in, she calls me and asks me to come. I was at a cafe nearby because I knew she wouldn't stay long. I find her at the entrance of the house crying and a bunch of women consoling her. When she saw me, she came to me and pulled me to the garden to talk. She said she was dancing and looked at Mary's pregnant belly and couldn't take it anymore, started crying and ran out. All of Mary's friends followed her out to console her. I consoled her myself and said, "Okay, let's go, babe. What do you want to go do? We can go for a drive so you can feel better." She looked at me weird and asked why she would leave. I asked, why would she stay? She said,
I'm getting attention.
She said she feels better now and can go have a good time. I sighed and said, "Babe, you know that's not going to happen, and I doubt the attention will be on Mary after this, and that's not great. It's her baby shower, and she deserves to be celebrated. I can't see how people are going to shift their focus from consoling you to celebrating her if you're still here." She rolled her eyes at me and said she was going back in and that I could leave. 3 hours later, the party was nearing its end, so I go back to pick her up. My coworker and I stepped into the house, and lo and behold, everyone is sitting in a circle with my wife being the center of attention.
Oh, God.
Coworker looked for his wife, and she wasn't there at all. He called her, and she said she had left ages ago. My wife and I entered the car, and I first asked her how she was feeling, and we spoke about it for a few minutes. I then asked her what happened and why Mary left. She said, "Oh crap, Mary, I forgot to say bye to her." I told her Mary left ages ago. I then said, "I know you're going through a hard time, but why on earth would you and her friends do this? If they consoled you for a few minutes, that's fine. But the entire party, we really should have left earlier."
Yeah.
She looked at me so offended and said, "Are you Mary's husband or mine?"
Oh.
I will never understand people that need to make things completely about themselves all the time.
Yeah.
Are you so uncomfortable letting other people have just a moment of recognition and happiness and center of attentionness?
Well, you know what I don't understand is, how can you not feel bad about that? Like, even when I'm talking to a friend about something that they're going through, like a hard time, and then, as you know, I'm trying to relate to them, so I tell them something I'm going through or like went through that was similar. And then all of a sudden I realize, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm putting it too much on me. And I instantly want to put it back on them and be like, let's, whatever, talk about you. So I just don't understand how you can have the mentality that you just like get off by going into somebody else's party that they paid money for, that their friends showed up for, that their biggest, like one of their biggest moments, the most exciting moments for them, and just decide that you want to take that all away from them and that you're like happy about it too. It's different if that's an accident, because that happens. Like, we all have emotions, but like the husband said, it should not have been the whole party.
No.
Come on.
Well, and so he dropped her off, went to a cafe, and she called him. And so that was already probably about 40 minutes in. So then they talk. So it's about an hour in, okay? Which any rational person would be like, yeah, you're right. It's Mary's time. I'm going to say goodbye and let's go. Like, it's understandable to be upset if you're really trying to conceive and you have these other people celebrating happy moments like that. Yeah, you might be a little jealous. You might feel bad about your struggle, your whatever's happening. But have the self-awareness and the decency to say, this isn't about me. She should be celebrated. She should be able to have this day. You're right. Let's go. But instead to be like, no, I'm going back in.
Yeah.
That's about an hour, right? The first meltdown hour. Husband comes back to get her 3 hours later. So she's made 4 hours about herself. So the top comment on this one, not the asshole. Your wife turned someone else's celebration into her own pity party to the point that the guest of honor left her own shower and doesn't realize she did anything wrong. Do you really want to have a child with a woman like that?
Well, it also depends on how many times this happens. Like if this is part of her character
flaw. Yeah.
Right. But if it's like she's literally just going through it and it's a bad day, it's still shitty. Like she should apologize. But, you know, I don't know what she's going through.
But she's also lying to people and saying she's infertile when she's not.
That's true. Maybe she just thinks that she is.
The doctor explained, if your husband can understand it, why can't you?
That's true.
She seems like a person that really loves to be the center of attention. Yeah. I think you nailed it when you said that.
Yeah.
I really do.
For sure.
So with this story, it was posted about 10 days ago. We already have an update.
Oh, shit.
There's a lot of comments from OP. I'm not really going to get into them. The one I do see that's, of course, standing out to me now is like, OP, who is she telling that she's infertile? What do you say/do when she says that? And then someone goes, why did you predict her bad behavior so well? Which is true, which kind of answers the question, like, is this her usual thing? Like, how did he know this would happen?
Yeah.
And so OP goes, I didn't predict that she would cause a scene. I told her to rethink going because I was trying to save her from feeling bad. She tends to get bummed out when other people achieve things that she hasn't yet. She was bummed out when her little sister got engaged before we did, but she didn't cause a scene at any of the parties or at the wedding and put up the whole happy for you act quite well. She would only speak to me about how she was feeling when we were alone. If you had told me a few months ago that she would pull this, I would have laughed and said no way. So update.
Mail's here. Mail's here.
Update. So I texted my coworker, let's call him Frank, and asked if we could talk. So we met up during our lunch break. I apologized for everything that happened. He kept telling me it's fine and being so nice about it, and that kind of made me feel worse. He said he has booked Mary a ticket back home for a week and that her sisters and friends were going to surprise her with another baby shower. I asked if he'd mind my wife and I paying the expenses of the baby shower that they were going to throw.
Wow.
He laughed and said no way, but that he appreciated it. We went back and forth a bit, but he eventually said he'd ask his sister-in-law how much she spends on everything and then would let me know and we can pay half of it. I spoke to my wife when I got home from work. She apologized for ignoring me and said she doesn't know why she behaved like this. She said she is embarrassed and she can't bring herself to come to terms with how she behaved. We also spoke about the infertility thing. She said she thought her saying it out loud and discussing it with people would make it easier for her if she found out she was actually infertile.
Interesting.
Because she would have come to terms with it.
Right. Wow.
I don't get it, but hey. At least she didn't dodge accountability this time and did acknowledge that it's wrong and that she needs to stop. It's slightly worrying to me how she sounds like a completely new person so often lately. Almost like there are multiple versions of her who don't know each other. I said I'm glad she now realizes it's wrong and asked her to send flowers or something with an apology note to Mary's house. I also mentioned that I offered to pay for the next baby shower and she told me to insist that she pays it all and not half. I said I'm fine with splitting it. She also said she would bake a cake and go to Mary personally to apologize. I told her Mary is leaving town for a week, so that will have to wait until she gets back. But she did send a lengthy text with a sincere, in my opinion, apology. Mary responded saying my wife didn't need to apologize and that she understands what happened and thanked her for attending her baby shower. Mary also apologized for leaving without saying goodbye to my wife and the rest of the guests. You see how nice Mary and Frank are? Jesus Christ. OP said that.
Yeah.
We decided on both individual and couples therapy soon. Anyone know if it's okay to do them simultaneously? She wants to, but I'm not sure it's a great idea. It was a given that we would stop trying for a baby, so that's definitely on hold for now. So yeah, that's it for now, I guess. I've never been to therapy and neither has she, so I'm hoping this is the beginning of our relationship getting much healthier and our individual growths as well. Thank you so much to everyone who responded. My mind is blown by how many of you did. Hope you all have a great year.
Wow, that's great.
Happy ending.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And then there you go. I made a comment about that. Like, is this, I mean, given he didn't say this is like a one-off behavior, because apparently she keeps acting in ways that are conflicting with the new her or whatever he said. But still, it's good to know that she also was able to reflect and be like, the did I just do?
Yeah.
And like, she is going through a traumatic time. So
yeah.
I mean, obviously it wasn't right, but I'm just saying it's always really good when you hear that somebody can reflect on their wrongs.
Yeah, I think this is a happy ending. Mary sounds like a saint. Love her.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't let them pay for any of my baby shower. I would just like want to be so done with her.
Right. What I was comparing it to when she made the comment that she's been telling people that she's infertile to get used to it, even though I don't agree with that at all. But I'm kind of comparing it to not telling somebody when you're pregnant for X amount of time. That's what I'm thinking her brain was doing.
Yeah.
By trying to prepare herself for like the potential blow.
I get that. And it just annoys me that she's almost doing it for attention and sympathy. And then
true.
Just, and this is like speculating, but based on this behavior, I think she would be the person that does get pregnant and she's like, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
I wasn't infertile. God,
Right.
This is just a little miracle baby.
Yeah.
And that's not right either, because there are people that really do struggle with infertility and getting pregnant, and they do have miracle babies. So it's like, it just feels like another ploy. But I don't know, mental health struggles and wanting kids, the desire to have kids, and it makes people do
she might have
crazy
grown up
stuff.
in some, like, I mean, we all agree that the way she acted was fucked up. However, it's always nice when you hear someone can reflect and apologize and own up to their wrongs. So whatever's going on in her head, whatever she does moving forward, let's just end on the fact that we're happy that she got that far.
Yeah, there's some growth there.
Yeah.